So there are all these confusing terms in paper crafting. There's scrapbooking, there is junk journal, there is altered book and glue book. What are these things and how do you use them? That's what I'm going to be talking about in this video today. Hi everybody, Marguerite Miller here. Usually I work on collage art, but today I'm talking about book arts. And yes, that really is a term, book arts. So what is that? What is book art? Book art is any of the crafts and arts that go into making books. It's things like printmaking and bookbinding. It's art journaling and eco dyeing papers. All of these things are examples of book arts. In this video, I want to talk about 4 examples of book arts: scrapbook, junk journal, altered book, and glue books. So let's start with the one that you probably are the most familiar with, and that is scrapbook. A scrapbook is where you organize moments into a story. You use things like photos, notes, you can journal, use bits of ephemera to tell a story. And the most important thing about a scrapbook, or the thing that makes it unique, I should say, is that it is linear. The story you tell has a beginning and it has an end. Some examples of a scrapbook would be if you go on vacation somewhere and you scrapbook your journey, your events that took place when you went to Hawaii, for example. Another example would be scrapbooking kindergarten. If you have a kindergartner in your life, your child or grandchild, you would start at the beginning of the school year and finish with the end of the school year. So here's an example of a scrapbook that I put together from my time that I spent abroad in the city of Vienna. So I created this scrapbook using some pattern paper and photos, and also a little bit of journaling about my trip abroad. On the front, I have this little pocket where I have a few little small things. And then inside, I started with winter and the colder season when I arrived, and then progressed from there. So I have a little bit of note-taking, a little bit of writing, and then just photos of my travel memories. This is kind of a nice way to scrapbook, because I just kind of remembered some key things about what I really enjoyed about the trip, and I didn't have to write too much. I let the photographs do most of the talking. Here's a little series I had done about being on the U-Bahn, and wrote a few little notes, little things about that. And this comes out. How I put it together was I took a piece of cardboard, a heavy cardboard, and I wrapped it, lined it with this pattern paper, and then I used only a base, and I did not have a cover on it. I just wanted to have the papers just kind of layered so that you can see the different patterns and designs on the papers, and just kind of have it stacked. And then I bound it with a Zutter Bind It All. Next is a junk journal. What is that term? So many people hate this word, junk journal. Why is it junk? Why am I calling it a junk journal? A junk journal is a handmade book of recycled and found materials and ephemera. Materials for junk journals are found and recycled, so junk journals are very eclectic and unique. The pages can be used to write, to draw, to collage on, or to just record memories however you'd like. I have so many examples of junk journals, but I only want to grab 3 because I don't want to overwhelm you with too many examples. So these are special because they clearly show how I am using recycled and found materials. I'll start with this one. I ordered something and in the mail, and it came in this box, and I thought, wow, you know what if I make a cover for a book for this? So I wanted to include postal related items, and that's what I ended up doing with this one. So I put some things like envelopes. I used regular copy paper, but then I also used other kinds of postal related papers in here. And it's just a collection of anything related to the post office and postal. I can use it for taking notes or journaling if I want to, or if I want to just keep on adding postal ephemera as I go on, that's an option too. Okay. My next example is this. This was a cracker box, and I also put signatures, 1, 2, 3, 4 signatures of just paper that I kind of collected either from my kids or games, board games, and then I also added some paper from other books. But here's a piece of coloring book. This is it's got everything in it. It's advertisements, all kinds of stuff. I just wanted something that was really, really colorful and fun. I used also pattern paper. Another envelope. Some pockets. So this is kind of done in a modern style. Okay. Lastly, I have this vintage junk journal, and these are really popular to do. If you Google or check, on YouTube, type in vintage junk journal, you will get a lot of hits for this. So there are people who create kits for doing junk journals, and what the kit consists of is pattern paper and then things that you can cut out like pockets and other bits and pieces that you can put in with like this, that you attach and create pockets, things like that. And then you go and you add whatever you want into your junk journal. Sometimes you can add your own papers, or you can use tea-dyed or coffee-dyed papers. A lot of people love to do that as well. I've done many junk journals in this style. They're a lot of fun. They are a lot of fun. Different kinds of pockets. They're fun to fill with found items or just ephemera that you create, right? So this is my example of a vintage junk journal. I did the binding for this one. I also did the covers. I started with a cover like this. So this one's not quite done yet, but I've already made the holes so that I can add my signatures in with something like this. So these are my examples of junk journals. Next, what is an altered book? An altered book is an art object that's been created from an existing published book. It's a book that's been given a new life in the form of art. So I have a couple of examples to show you of altered books. One is one that I've been working on, and one is one that I acquired. So I'll start with this one. So I got a ordinary book from a used book sale, and I wanted to experiment with doing some art in it, and as you can see I haven't done very much, but I have experimented with a few things. First is with stenciling. So I like the idea that you can keep some of the text visible and then add an opaque layer over the top. Here is more stenciling. And here I experimented with some watercolor. I've also done some heavier collage on here, but then I started to think, well, maybe a book isn't the best place to do collage, because I can do collage on blank pages, because you can't really, you can see a little bit of the text in there, but not that much. Here's another one I did, and the text didn't show through. I covered up all the text, and I thought, no, I want more of the text to show. So here I glued in some napkins. So it's just fun to get a used book and to experiment, with color and stenciling and rubber stamping, whatever. Here is a book that I got. This was an English-Ukrainian dictionary, and inside has been very beautifully collaged and decorated, and you can still very clearly see on a lot of the pages, you can see the text underneath. So this was done by Jane Chip. She really makes incredible art, and I really wanted to have something that she made, and I really like this altered book. I like the paint she uses, the colors, the design. And in between some of the pages, she glued several pages together, and in between she put ribbon and other things to kind of, add to the whole effect of this altered book. The last term I want to talk about is a glue book. What's a glue book? A glue book is a book where you glue things into, and I know that sounds overly simplistic, but that is the most basic definition that there is. What do you glue in a glue book? Well, you can collage in a glue book. That's what I mainly use glue books for. You could journal and glue things with journaling. You can glue whatever you want to. And here are some other ways that you can think about these terms altogether. Think about a junk journal and a glue book. Can you turn a junk journal into a glue book? Yes, absolutely, you can. What about an altered book? Can you take an existing book that's already printed and turn that into a glue book? Yes, you can also do that. What about a scrapbook? What's the difference between a scrapbook and a glue book? Again, with a scrapbook is linear, so you're telling a story, whereas the glue book, it doesn't matter. Time is not an issue. You can glue whatever you want into a glue book without having to tell a story. And with a glue book, you can choose a theme. You can just glue, say that you're going to go through magazines and only cut out images of flowers, or only cut out things that are in alphabetical order. You choose a letter of the alphabet and you start only gluing things that start with A, and then just have things that start with B. So you can choose whatever themes or topics you want for a glue book and create your own that way. I have 4 examples of glue books, and what is important to know about these is not what they once were, being a book or not, but what they are now, which is a glue book. I'll give you an example. So this is not a book in the literal sense. It is a collection of index cards. But I have turned it into a glue book by collaging on it and having it become a collection of collages. Okay. This one is what I call an eclectic page glue book, in that I take a bunch of different kinds of substrate papers. I take old envelopes, I take old flyers, and I assemble them or put them together. Here I'm using again my Zutter Bind It All. And then once I have about 20 of these pages, then I go ahead and I glue things on top of them, and I create collages on top of these pages. Here's a postcard, for example, and then on the back I have collaged on it. This was just a piece of form paper, right? Okay, so that is another example of a glue book. Here, I took an old passport that belonged to my son as a baby. He went through, well, for children, you have to change passports every 5 years. So on one of the trips that he took traveling abroad, I printed out a bunch of pictures and I glued him in his old passport, and this old passport is now a glue book. My last example is taking a junk journal that I made and using it as a glue book. For this one, the theme I have is the color red. So I just collected and have been creating collages with anything with the color red. This one is such a fun book to do. I've been working on this book for more than 3 years, and I'm still not done because, you know, I just kind of set red things aside when I see them, and then I will go through and pick a blank page and collage on it. So this is both a junk journal because I created it using scraps and recycled materials, and then it is also a glue book because I'm adding things into it. All right. This clasp is made from a necklace. It's a magnet closure, and I added that to the front. So these are all examples of glue books. So I hope this video helps clear up any confusion you have about these terms. Please do leave comments or a question if there is anything that I have missed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you the next time.